Humans the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I'm talking about expectations for Alliance Insight. I think when you go back and you look at past sets, especially core sets, you can find a lot of patterns throughout Yu-Gi-Oh! And how Konami addresses giving new cards, doing, and going set to set and basically what they're going to release, at least an idea of it. I can't tell you the exact cards, what their effects are going to be, but I can tell you, I think these couple archetypes are definitely have a good shot at shining in here and go from there. So here we go. This is we're going to start with the stuff that I think is a lot more concrete, has a lot more base behind it. We'll talk about some rumors, some of the leaks, and some of the stuff that could apply there to this core set, as well as like some more kind of philosophical stuff. What I think makes sense, because most sets have stuff like that, but also those ones are more shots in the dark. But anyway, let's get into this thing. Alliance Insight. We've only had one thing revealed. It's basically been the cover support, which is our new Ad Ignister support. It looks really nice for specifically Malice, but also Ignister itself. Definitely these cards help. So really cool start. All right, anyway, let's get into it. First things first, we're going to start with Sinful Spoils. This is the modern, current, lore that Konami kind of revolves a lot of their new archetypes and archetypal support around. So, big question, are we going to have a new archetype in Alliance Insight? It's certainly possible. There is no new Sinful Spoils archetype in the set prior, Supreme Darkness, I believe. So I do think it's possible. But I also think we've gone a good bit through the Diabell Star lore. So I don't know entirely. I would need somebody else to kind of explain to me where it feels like they are in explaining the lore. Does it feel like we're closer to the end? Does it feel like we could be kind of summing things up and getting to the more rounding out the lore part of Sinful Spoils? Or does it feel like there's still enough there that we could get another 2, 3, 4 archetypes in the next calendar year and go from there? Because we have gotten Azamina the set prior to Supreme Darkness. We got White Force, I believe, the set before that. We've gotten Goblin Biker. We've gotten Snake Eyes. We've gotten a good bunch of stuff. I just don't know exactly how much is left. So there's a big question whether there's going to be a new one or not. I would think it's probably more likely than not for this one, especially since nothing in Supreme Darkness. From there, we'll do a couple other archetypes. Like I said, Azamina otherwise is the most recent new archetype. I would expect there to be at least a couple more cards, some decent cards in Supreme Darkness, plus obviously a really strong first start for the set, or for that archetype in Rage of the Abyss. I would expect there to be something here. It might not be crazy strong, but I do expect some Azamina stuff. White Forest also is on the fringe. I just think that's really likely because, look at Supreme Darkness. We saw Snake Eyes and Goblin Biker support. Those archetypes have been out for like a year now, and they're still getting cards in core sets. Even if it's only one apiece, I do expect something for White Forest. They got a really good wave in Supreme Darkness, though, so that's really nice. And I guess the last thing is like random stuff, just general Sinful Spoil stuff. Like I said, if Snake Eyes and Goblin Biker can get a card apiece in Supreme Darkness, they could also get one random one here. Or we even just see random cards with Sinful Spoil in the name. Sometimes they apply to different archetypes, but they just love to drop like random little cards, and even some bad ones that are just there to be lore. So that's all stuff I expect for Sinful Spoils, just covering that kind of as a whole up front. Next up, specific archetypes that are more recent that I also think are really likely to get support here. Argostar hopefully gets their second wave here. The first wave was super underwhelming. It's a trap monster-based archetype. Maybe it'll pair nicely with the Odeon cards. We'll see. But they definitely need a huge, huge buff if they want to be able to do anything going forward. Primite. I do expect Primite to get more cards as well. They got their first wave in Rage of the Abyss. They get their second wave in Supreme Darkness. They should be getting at least one more wave here. You expect it to be kind of the weakest of the three. Another Barrel is proven to be nasty. This engine is already showing out as a really nice assister for Blue Eyes in the OCG, which is really cool. So I'm curious to see. I'd love to see them get their own vanilla. That way, the engine, like it's a normal monster based engine, but they don't even have their own normal monster. It just feels weird. But we'll see. We'll see. Feedsmith. This one is not guaranteed. I will start by saying that we've already got the amazing first wave of Feedsmith before Rage of the Abyss. Then in Rage of the Abyss, we got Agnum Day and stuff, and now in Supreme Darkness they get even a couple more cards. Those cards aren't out of this world crazy, to be honest. I don't think they're going to make a huge impact on Feedsmith as an engine or deck that much, but I do think they're worth noting that like they did get three whole more cards, at least two. Is it two or three? They got the fusion and the trap. There might be one other card that I'm missing, but I think it might actually just be those two. But that is the third set. Sometimes Konami chooses to go to a fourth set and keep giving more support to archetypes they like or want to push. Sometimes they don't. It's really hard to get a gauge for it. This is a meta archetype that people like, so it's possible, but I really don't know. So keep that one in mind. That one's kind of fringe. We have Metal Morph. This is one that I do actually expect support for because I believe the first set for Metal Morph was Rage of the Abyss. So I think same timeline as Primite. Rage of the Abyss first set, Supreme Darkness, they get 2 more cards. They really are not impressive to me. I really do not think those cards are that good. And then hopefully maybe they get 1 more, and maybe this wave will actually make them a little bit better. We'll see. Crossover Breaker stuff. This one is super interesting to me. These decks already look scary. They're literally coming out this week in the TCG, so Malice and Rizio look really, really strong out the gate here. I do think, though, timeline-wise, this is kind of lining up to be the first core set, Alliance Insight, where we actually see these archetypes get their first additional wave of cards. Now, we've already talked about a couple of leaks that have been revealed. Nothing officially confirmed for Ryuga there, but they said there should be some Ryuga stuff there. They're the ones that need it the most, which is crazy to me. But some interesting Rizio cards in the leaks. Nothing crazy. The Malice cards are really the ones that impressed me. Like an extra main deck extender for them, which is really good. And then what was the other? A quick play spell that just gives them extra utility, so they don't always have to be getting the field spell off of Red Ransom. So some cool potential leaks that could be true there. We have no idea on those. They're leaks for a reason. They could just be some dude coming up with their own custom cards, but we don't really know. All right, so yeah, gotta clear Crossover Breakers out. Oh, also, one of the leaks we also talked about in one of those videos was Dark World stuff. It was 5 Dark World cards. We're also not that far removed from like a full Dark World structure deck. Those leaks to me seem the least likely to be true, but I don't know entirely. Again, they're leaks. We have no idea of knowing whether it's just some rando spouting at the mouth or if it is actually real. I don't tend to think they're that likely, but it is possible, and leaks are for a reason, so we'll see. All right, next thing, Mimighoul. Not actually getting Mimighoul cards. We've gotten our first wave, we've gotten our second wave of Mimighoul, so I don't actually expect any more Mimighoul cards exactly. This is more so speaking on whatever TCG exclusive is going on by the time this set is dropping. So Supreme Darkness, when that actually comes to the TCG, we will have the first wave of whatever the next TCG exclusive is. This set's going to get the second wave. So this is really kind of so far down the line because it's not even like something we'll get in the next 2 months. It's something we'll get like 5 months from now. But it's worth noting. It's going to be in the set, and it'll be the second wave that potentially makes the next TCG exclusive playable. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go. Tactical Tridex. This one's going to be really hyped for a lot of people because this one is not really confirmed. Again, part of leaks. We've heard some rumors that Cyber Dragons, Eldritch, and Evil Twins will all get support in this set. We do not know if it's true for sure or not, but it's something to note. I think it makes sense. I think it's good timing by Konami, especially with these decks apparently doing really well in the OCG. I think this seems cool. I hope it's true. We don't know, but we're kind of getting to the back end of the rumor thing. So we're getting to the more stuff that's just strictly rumor. We don't have much reason to believe it, but it could be there, and it makes sense. Next up, some deck build packs that are interesting to note. Konami likes to do this thing where they like to wait a certain amount of time after the initial release of like a deck build pack archetype and then give them another wave a couple years later down the line to hopefully help them keep up with modern day Yu-Gi-Oh speed. I think Ancient Guardians makes sense as the next one they address. This is the archetype. This is the deck build pack archetype that had Ogdoadic, Sulfur and Ursa Arctic. By the way, one of the worst deck build packs we've seen in a long time. Really, really bad one. Yeah, and the reason I believe this is if you actually look at Genesis Impact, which is the one prior to them. If you look at the more recent stuff for them, this is the one that had Drytron, Live Twins, and Magistus. Magistus getting a bunch of cards this year. Drytron got cards earlier this year. Live Twins potentially getting support in this core set. potentially sets us up for Ancient Guardians to be the next deck build pack. That's kind of in line to get their 2-3 years later support to kind of help them keep up with the game. So keep an eye on that one. I think it's also not out of the realm of possibility for Grand Creators to kind of be thrown in the mix here. Punk just got their 2 awesome cards in the OCG's like Christmas pack. So Exosister and Adventurer are kind of sitting there going, okay, where's our stuff to help us compete? Exosister's kind of withered away. It was a really powerful like Rogue deck or Tier 2 deck. It's kind of withered away. And Adventurer obviously has just kind of been power crept out of the game as a usable engine. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of get them into the mix. If not this set, maybe a couple down the line. But I don't think it's out of their own possibility with the Punk stuff getting support recently. And now onto the more generic parts of the set here. That was mostly all like new archetypes, and we didn't even mention like there's probably going to be like one out of nowhere new archetype in this set. We got Argostar's last set. We have no idea what it'll be. It's so hard to guess this stuff because it's not tied to any lore or anything most likely. So it could just be something completely random. Could be an anime deck. Could be whatever. I have no idea, but that's definitely a possibility. But getting into the generic stuff, 4th Mulcharmy. We've got the one that stops deck. We've got the one that stops hand. We got the one that stops grave stuff. Are we going to get a banish one? Are we going to get a search stopping one? Or you know what I mean? Every time your opponent adds a card to hand, do you draw? You know what I mean? I really don't know. I do expect at least one more Mulcharmy though, because they've all been different attributes of the main 4. There has not been a fire Mulcharmy yet, which I think will be in this set. We'll have to wait and see on what it's actually going to be like. The Dominus one I'm not as confident about. It's worth mentioning at least because we did get a Purge and then Pulse. And the one thing that makes me think that we might not get another one is that Purge locked you out of 3 of the main 6 attributes. Impulse locked you out of the other 3. And so there's no left over. If each of them had 2, then I'd be like, oh, where's the 3rd? So we cover all the attributes and have, you know, one for every one. I don't think it has to come. I'm not entirely sure it will come, but it's worth noting, like, they start a little pattern. The SVs have one set without one, but I don't think it's entirely impossible that they throw a 3rd one in the mix. And the last thing is just, like, generic extra deck monsters. In the last core set, in Supreme Darkness, Abawaku, and I would say Clockwork Knight are probably the 2 big winners there. What I like about these cards is they're not entirely generic. Not every single deck can or will play them. This one kind of being somewhat locked to Fiends. This one being pretty locked into Machines. But that being said, they're still good cards for what they are, and Fiends and Machines are pretty represented types, you know, in monster types in Yu-Gi-Oh! So they actually have multiple decks that can actually look at them and actually consider playing them. So I wonder if they'll do that, or, and we've seen Konami do this, kind of like how Mulcharmies and the Dominus cards have been huge selling points for sets to really help themselves. Those are the chase cards, we call them. Do they throw in not new version of SP and Power Creep, but like a new card that's on the level of SP in terms of everybody's going to want to have it? And Typhon, right? Like, do they throw in either 1 or 2? I think these came out in the same set originally. Do they throw, you know, monsters like these in there just to be like, hey, we got to sell the set. We want to make the set spicy. Let's throw the new gotta have it awesome generic card that everybody's going to want to get their hands on. So it's possible. Again, we're throwing out possibilities. There's nothing that leads you to believe they have to do that. But I believe these cards came out at the beginning of 2024. So it's possible for the very beginning of 2025, they want to lead into the new year with like a new staple that kind of sets the tone for what the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be. So we'll have to keep that in mind as well. But that's basically everything I have here. If you think I missed anything, throw it down below. There's kind of a lot of factors going on here, so I easily could have missed something small, or maybe even something big. But let me know in the comment section down below if you think there's any other random thing that I didn't mention here that you were like, oh, this might actually be coming. This makes sense. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that and what's down there. Otherwise, what are you excited for most out of most of this stuff? For me, it would probably be the tactical try stuff. I think I could see myself wanting to play all 3 of those archetypes depending on how they go about new support for them. So I'm mostly excited for those. That's mostly it. That's like honestly the main thing as I'm looking up and down here. But yeah, you guys get the gist. I'm out of here for today, though. Thank you so much for watching, as always, guys. As always, subscribe to the channel for more fun discussion videos like this one down the line. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.